Hey guys, this is the Dark Passenger, and I just thought I would, share my overall thoughts on the show, The Big Bang Theory. The fact that it finally ended after 12 years, 12 seasons, because of, Jim Parsons, the actor who plays Sheldon Cooper in the show, wanting to leave to pursue bigger things. And I mean, I get that he'd been on that show for a long time. But it's sad that they had to end it. They were planning to end it at season 14, I believe, but then Jim Parsons kind of, said that he was planning to leave, so they kind of decided to wrap it up with season 12, which kind of makes sense, it's a nice even number and they wouldn't be taking it too far, I guess you could say. But still, I'm pretty sad that it ended because it was a show that was close to my heart. I really did love it. I watched the entire run, of course. And I'm gonna share some of my favorite moments as well. Yeah, yeah, like the those of you who have seen the show will know what I'm talking about. Like the moment when Amy first entered the show. Mayim Bialik. She plays Amy. Amy Farrah Fowler. She first entered the show. You know, and she was kind of at first you see her as this weird, quirky character, just like Sheldon. You can see how they're a perfect match in the show. From the very beginning, and then as it goes on, you see more and more how they get more and more kind of connected with each other, attracted to each other, and then finally, there's that moment in season 8 where where Amy, they're kind of recreating their prom night, and Sheldon's kind of scared to come out of his room because he thinks he might be forced to kind of do things with Amy. And Amy, she comes, she talks to him, and then she tells him that she's gonna tell him something, and he doesn't have to say it if he doesn't feel it. That he shouldn't say it because social convention dictates, and then he just spits it out. He tells her that he loves her. That's just a beautiful moment in the show as well. Just it really touches me right here, that moment. And also a funnier moment, back in season 5, when season 5 episode 7, I think it is, Howard and Raj, Simon Helberg plays Howard and Kunal Nayar is Raj. They play this prank on Sheldon in the beginning of the show at the university. In the beginning of the episode at the university. And, like a Halloween prank. He gets, he does get scared. They did get him, by kind of pushing a skeleton towards him after doing all these other things, like kind of imitating the walls, dripping blood, spelling out "See you in hell, Sheldon," and all these other things. But the skeleton, got him, and then when Howard and Raj come out, they tell Sheldon that, oh, come on, just kind of admit that we got you, and then they end up back in his office, and then they seem to give in, saying, we can't get him, he's just too smart, we can't scare him. And then Sheldon turns around, screams, and falls on the floor because, Leonard, played by Johnny Galecki, is just standing there with this creepy green alien mask on. That was one of my favorite moments of the show as well. And also at the end of the episode, yeah, for those of you who've seen the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sheldon finally, he comes out of the couch in zombie makeup and scares the crap out of Leonard and goes, "Bazinga, punk, we're even." That was just, yeah, there was just a lot of great moments in the show. And also, I'm just going to go back to season 1 when Leonard and Sheldon first meet Penny in the pilot episode. Penny, played by Kaylee Cuoco. That was probably, yeah, also one of my favorite moments of the show. And that pilot episode was really good as well. I mean, I gotta admit, the entire first season was good, but then as the show progressed, it did get better. It got much better, in my opinion. And, another highlight of the show was when Leonard and Penny, they get engaged at the end of season 7. Season 7, episode 23, they get engaged. And then in episode 24, they announce the news to their friends, to Howard, to Bernadette, his wife, played by Melissa Roach, to Amy, to Sheldon, to everybody, just to everybody else. And then Raj comes in and upstages them by telling them that he had sex with Emily, and then they all just go over to him. And Leonard and Penny, they're all, "What the hell?" And Bernadette tells them that they get engaged, they propose all the time, but that never happens, so they all just run over to him. Another great funny moment in the show. And also, when Sheldon has a tantrum and goes off for like 3 months on some train adventure, whatever, and then he comes back, Penny's hair is cut, and he just said, "Your hair is different, you changed it, I can't handle it, I'm out." That's one of the funniest moments too. But the best moment, I'd say, in the entire show was when Leonard and Penny got married. At first they eloped, but I'm talking about the time when they had a wedding for their family, like a second wedding, because Leonard's mother was upset about not being invited to the first one. So they kind of had a second wedding for her and for the other family members, Penny's father, mother, brother. Penny's father is played by Keith Carradine. Katie Siegel is her mother. I don't know who plays her brother, but and everyone is there. Amy, Sheldon, Stuart, the comic book store owner, who's played by Kevin Sussman in this show, and he is just a great character, a really important part of the show. And also, the moment when Sheldon proposes to Amy is really beautiful as well. And when they get married at the end of season 11, it's just really touches me here as well. I mean, and then, it go across. Mark Hamill officiates, he marries them, which I thought was pretty funny. That was just a great wedding scene, and Stuart finally has a date in that episode as well. Like, a girl who's working for him at the comic book store, like the assistant manager, kind of. And also, another great scene was when they're on their honeymoon in season 12. He kind of he tells Amy that he ordered room service when they're at the hotel, and then it just turned out to be kind of food things built out of Lego. That was pretty funny. He just played a prank on her that way. And also, when Raj, he gets engaged to some woman, arranged marriage, woman called Anu, and that doesn't work out. You see how it doesn't work out, and then they try again later on in the season, and again it doesn't work out because Howard, tells him not to leave. He was going to leave to London to be with Anu, but Howard goes to the airport and tells him not to leave. Another great moment in the show. And yeah, there are just so many great moments in this show. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the season finale now. They're basically waiting to hear if they've won the Nobel Prize for discovering super asymmetry in the season finale, and then they do find out that they've won, and then Amy, after that, she things start to change. Amy goes with Raj to the mall and changes the hair, her clothes, puts some makeup on, just changes everything. And Sheldon has a tantrum because she says, "Oh, it's too much changing. It's he can't handle change." And then also Penny later on in the Kate comes up in the elevator. And for him, that's a huge change because the elevator's finally fixed, and they kind of been using the stairs for so many years, so that's a change for him. But in the end of the episode, of that first half, I mean, he says, "Oh, well, we used the elevator before. We started using the steps after it was broken. That was a change. So I'll be returning to how it was." And she just pushes him in. She just says, "Just get in." And also in that season finale, I mean that first half, Howard and Bernadette were just saying, going around saying they're Sheldon and Amy's best friends, and Howard did a story, like a newspaper story, and then they both went on TV saying, "As your best friends, we're not going to let you give up," and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And also, Howard told some story about how Sheldon couldn't get a jar of olives open, I think. Yeah. And they saw that, Penny and Sheldon saw that when they were sitting there drinking at the Cheesecake Factory. That's another great funny scene as well. And then finally, the very final episode, that was just emotional for me. I was so sad it was ending. In this one, they go to the Nobel Prize ceremony in Stockholm, in Sweden. And this is where it all ends. And in the beginning of the episode, Sheldon and Amy tell them they're going to be ambassadors when they get there. They have to, shake hands at the end of every business meeting and everything. So yeah, they after that meeting, they're forced to shake hands. And then also, you find out that Penny is finally pregnant. She didn't want kids earlier in the season, but then she ends up pregnant. They changed it. I was fine with that. Penny changed her mind about having kids. That was nice. But that storyline, it could have went somewhere, and they waited until the very final episode to do that. Then again, maybe they didn't know that they were going to have to end it when they wrote that storyline. Yep. So they kind of ran with it anyway, maybe. So basically, on the plane later on, Sheldon, he gets nervous because Penny is running back and forth to the bathroom. And he says, "Oh, what if she's sick?" and blah, and all those things. Amy tells him, "No, I doubt she is. You're not going to catch anything from her." And then, he gets nervous. He goes to Leonard about it, saying, "Oh, I'm worried about your wife. I think she's sick." And then Leonard tells her she's pregnant, and he's like, oh, I can't catch that. Then he goes back and he's all insensitive about it. And Leonard calls him a jerk. And then he just ends up breaking all the hearts of all his friends. And also on the plane, Raj meets Sarah Michelle Gellar from she's from Scream 2 and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that I've never seen, but they refer to her as Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the episode. But and then basically, before that award ceremony, Howard and Bernadette want to leave because their kids are kind of in the care of Stuart, and they get so worried because his daughter got hurt in Stuart's care. But then his parent, Bernadette's parents end up taking over, and they stay, and so do Leonard and Penny. They were thinking about leaving too because Sheldon was rude to them, but yeah, they end up staying for the ceremony. And before the ceremony, Amy basically tells them, "Well, you're the authority on being selfish, because you're we tolerate you. You only think about yourself and just all those kinds of things. Not exactly in those words, but And he asks her, "Well, are you one of those people that tolerates me?" And she says, "Well, sometimes." And then that makes him realize that he's never really been treated as friends that well. So at the very end of it, he makes this, after Amy's speech, after receiving her medal, he's not listening to that entire speech. He's just thinking about what he's going to say, and how he hurt his friends, I guess. And then he goes up there, scraps, kind of throws out his original speech, and just says how much he loves his friends, gets them to stand up, and how he's sorry that he's never been the friend that they wanted him to be, that in his own way he loves them. And before that, he points and asks if that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the audience, which was pretty funny. And Raj was there with her. So yeah, he gets all his friends to stand up. It was just beautiful, one by one, Raj, Howard, Bernadette, Penny, and Leonard. And he tells them, in my own way, I love you all. I'm sorry I've never been the friend that you wanted me to be. I'm sorry for how I treated you. And then he says this. One day, Leonard told me that when we first met Penny, Leonard told me that their babies would be smart and beautiful. And now that she's expecting, I have no doubt that they will. Yeah, I think that's what he said. So it was just a beautiful, emotional ending to me. And then I actually couldn't help crying. I watched this episode twice, and both times I could not help crying. It was a great show. I'm sad that we had to say goodbye, but they did do a kind of behind the scenes episode as well. Kaylee Cuoco and John Nicolecki saying goodbye to the audience, to the studio audience, to the fans, to everyone who ever watched, who made the show possible, to the crew, saying thank you to the crew, because they were the ones that made the show possible. And sharing some of their favorite, clips, moments from the show. There was some behind the scenes as well, like about their table readings and everything. But yeah, well, So anyway, to everyone who made the show possible, you know, to Chuck Lorre, to the crew, to the cast, you know, Jim Parsons, Johnny Galecki, Kunal Nayar, Kaylee Cuoco, and every, you know, Melissa Roach, Simon Helberg, and also, you know, the voice of the actress who was the voice of Howard's mother. May she rest in peace. You know, thank you so much. I know you'll never watch this, but I, you know, thank you anyway. You brought this amazing show into my life. And, you know, who knows, maybe one day you'll decide to do a reunion. And I hope that you do. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Stay tuned for more reviews, updates, thoughts videos. Peace.